Hello, folks. The Americans are not coming. It's hardly a surprise. President Trump signaled earlier this year when South Africa abrogated property rights with the unconstitutional Expropriation Without Compensation Act, which he tried to deceive South Africa by famously signing at Davos over a month after he actually turned it into law, so that therefore members of parliament could not refute it in the Constitutional Court. Ever since they abrogated private property rights in clear violation of their participation in the African Growth and Opportunity Act, it's been clear that Donald Trump was not planning on going to the G20. And it became clear about a week ago that no U.S. delegation will participate in the G20. Now, the arguments are this is because U.S. disagrees with South Africa's redress policies. That's racist policies. No, the reality is that, and we can see it in the declaration that's come out now, this ludicrous declaration with so many points, it's beyond comprehension. This is a 30-page document that is just a love fest that will never be reached. Nothing will come out of this. The United States is not going to play games with the climate zealots and not going to play games with the Beggar's Bowl. This has become the G1 billion, not G100, as Scott Bessent called it. And as we see from officials in South Africa, the world is here. Well, the world isn't supposed to be at the G20. You've missed the point entirely. The world's supposed to be at the United Nations. So what's the purpose here? Are you undermining the United Nations? This is ridiculous. Headlines in South Africa say the Americans are not coming. Out of order. South Africa blocks the United States Embassy's bid to attend the G20 closing ceremony. And here we have it. The intentional slight that the South African government is giving to the United States, playing the victim, playing this whole thing up for weeks on end, acting as if the United States is attacking South Africa. The United States is simply not coming. Using the word boycott. Trump is not boycotting. He's simply not coming. He's simply not allowing U.S. officials to take part in a farce, which is what the G20 has become. International Relations Minister Ronald Lamola says Pretoria will not hand over the G20 presidency to the United States at the Nasrec Expo Center tomorrow. Speaking on the sidelines of G20 summit Saturday, Lamola said the U.S. will have to collect it from DIRCO's offices. Oh, so they must come and fetch it from your offices. Do we have to have a certain level official there? Would you like a governor or a senator, or do you need a cabinet member? Please let us know, Mr. Lamola. Now, Lamola emphasized the summit was South Africa's G20, highlighting that it was an opportunity to shine a spotlight on the African continent. And see, that is the problem. That is the problem. The only damn country in the world that's done much of anything for Africa for the past 40 years has been the United States, pouring billions and billions in, coming up with debt relief time and time again, developing antiretrovirals, opening our markets to countries in Africa with no duties, and not getting any reciprocity. But you want to use the G20 to spotlight the African continent. Well, that's not the purpose of G20. And Lamola said, no one will steal that spotlight. The African continent has made it. No, it hasn't. Do you live in Africa? I have. I've lived all over the continent. Sadly, Africa's not made it. So Vincent Magwenya, spokesman of the presidency, said, nope, they're not attending. We have made our position very clear. This is a breach of protocol. What they're suggesting, you cannot have a head of state handing over the presidency and leadership of such an important premier forum for macroeconomic issues and other related issues being handed over to a junior embassy official. Once again, Magwenya insulting one of the most senior diplomats in the diplomatic corps, a man who has nearly 3 decades of diplomatic experience, been in charge in multiple places, and is on the verge of becoming an ambassador. I no doubt this will lead to him being announced as an ambassador under the Trump administration just to piss these people off. Magwenya says, it's a breach of protocol. It's never happened before, and it was never going to happen for the first time here in South Africa. Not a breach of protocol. There is no practice required. There is no statement of conduct. There's no policy position on the handover. This is just South Africa playing the victim and misleading the world. Yes, it's not ideal, but it was after the ceremony, so get over yourself. Now, interesting, in the Independent Online, the journalist actually goes to great efforts to explain how this process works and does a good job. He says, in diplomatic practice, a charge d'affaires is the lowest-ranking head of mission, typically appointed only when a country does not have an ambassador in place. Unlike an ambassador or minister, a charge d'affaires does not present credentials to host head of state and is generally viewed as a temporary or junior-level representative. Well, that's mostly correct. The intentional use of the wording is important here. The lowest-ranking head of mission. Indeed, you have one head of mission, an ambassador. Then you have someone that acts in that role when there's no ambassador available. That's correct. But using the term lowest ranking is just that's factually correct, but it's intentionally misleading. And as far as presenting credentials, all diplomats' credentials are presented to the host nation. The difference is you don't have a charge d'affaires going to stand and hand over the credentials in person. That's the difference here. But you have to be approved by the host nation to be a diplomat, whatever level you're at. So that's also factually correct, but misleading. Now, South Africa considers G20 presidency handover a high-level ceremonial event, prompting concern that the U.S. was downgrading its participation by assigning a charge d'affaires to lead its delegation. No, there were lots of complaints from South Africa that the U.S. would not be present and snarky comments about handing it over to an empty chair. Therefore, a week before the event, the United States sent a diplomatic note saying they would send someone to collect the handover. And South Africa's turned this into a brouhaha over nothing and trying to, make fun at Trump. Well, there will be consequences for that. It's unfortunate that this is behavior of South Africa's politicians. They simply should have said the United States is welcome to send someone. We were hoping that it would be a very high-level official in the government, but it is the president's representative in South Africa. That would have been a way to handle this. That would have been the adult way, but that's not how South Africa's handling this. It's just childish. So South Africa considers the G20 presidency a high-level ceremony event, not any protocol in the G20. So Mangwenia's got his facts wrong. The United States is not attending. We will mark them absent, and we will have them marked absent, says Crispin Peary. Now that's very snarky and disrespectful. The whole world is here, and that's what we want to focus on our agenda. Those who are not present are not present. It is what it is. Well, it is what it is, and that statement says it all. The whole world is here. The purpose of G20 isn't the whole world. Who decided to invite South Africa to participate in this group anyway? What a mistake that was, turning into a beggar bowl. Wait till you see the list of things that they're looking for. Now, South African views the move as diplomatic slight. Pretoria had expected a senior-level representative, given the significance of the handover. Ramaphosa's stance suggests the ceremony may not proceed as planned unless Washington upgrades its delegation. Well, no, they're not going to upgrade the delegation, and you've already said they can't come. Yep, it's not going to happen. So South Africa slights the United States and pretends that it's been slighted. You got to love this stuff. Yeah. The author says in the IOL article, says the development deepens tensions between Pretoria and Washington after White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt accused Ramaphosa of running his mouth on Thursday, sparking outrage in South Africa. Well, we have Ronald Lamola on CNN on the 16th of November as the conference is kicking off, calling Donald Trump a white supremacist on global media. By the way, that was broadcast in the States, and it'll be rebroadcast apparently on Sunday as the summit closes on CNN. So I'm sorry, but this is funny, the cognitive dissonance, the selective memory of South African journalists and South African media by whining about Caroline Leavitt making that comment when the foreign minister called the president a white supremacist, the second senior ANC official to do so this year. They made their point clear. But the United States isn't the one with 145 race-based laws. No, it's not the United States. It's South Africa.